Bonjour, Wache, Anin. Welcome to this online event, formalizing our shared commitment to seamless transfer for Indigenous learners who move between our institutions on their educational path. We are happy you could join us this morning. Denise Baxter, Indigenous, Makwadodam, Martin Falls, and Donjaba. My name is Denise Baxter, Vice Provost, Indigenous Initiatives at Lakehead University, and I will be your MC for this event. We would like to invite you to turn off your cameras if you are not speaking at today's event. And excuse me. So we would like to invite you to turn off your cameras if you're not speaking at today's event. And please make sure that you're muted if you're not speaking. Lakehead University respectfully acknowledges its campuses are located on the traditional lands of Indigenous peoples. Lakehead Thunder Bay is located on the traditional lands of Fort William First Nation, signatory to the Robinson Spirit Treaty of 1850. Lakehead Aurelia is located on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. The Anishinaabe include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. Lakehead University acknowledges the history that many nations hold in the areas around our campuses and is committed to a relationship with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples based on the principles of mutual trust, respect, reciprocity, and collaboration in the spirit of reconciliation. We would like to welcome you today as we come together to celebrate the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, which emerged from a seamless transfer project funded by Ontario Council for Articulation and Transfer, or ONCAT. Representatives from Canada College, Confederation College, and Lakehead University came together in the spring of 2019 to begin this important work. During the ceremonial project opening, one of the project leads asked Elder Jerry Martin, if there was one thing that we could do with this project to make a difference, what would you recommend? He pondered for a moment, and then he responded by advising us to listen deeply. It became clear that the project required us to listen to the voices of Indigenous staff, education partners, and students, and to respond with appropriate action. Students had the opportunity to travel between institutions where they could connect with key staff and faculty, engage in the community around them, and meet other students. We are deeply grateful for the many community members, students, staff, and faculty who took the time to share with us in forming this important work. It is now my pleasure to introduce Elder Jerry Martin from Matagami First Nation, who will share an opening prayer. Elder Jerry?
Great there, Denise. Bonjour, Wache, Shego, Washte, greetings, everyone, and to Minister Paccini. Welcome to the land of the ice and snow. Welcome back, I should say. You've been up here before. And I hope you like the weather we arranged for you. Nice, crisp, clean, cool weather. Quite a departure from down south. But it is winter, Baboon. And it's part of our 4 seasons and our life here in the north. And the people that live in the north, in the Anishinaabe lands, Nibki, Waju, and Anishinaabe, you know it as Fort William. I'm glad that they're starting to use their Anishinaabe name for their community and going back to that. There's been a lot of change in our education system in the last 20 years, and I'm very pleased with this one, this Memorandum of Understanding. Because it brings hope and promise for our young people that want to come to post-secondary, that want to have a good life and education. And it's going to take leaders like you at the post-secondary level to make this dream happen and to encourage our people, young people, to come to the post-secondary institutions and do their best and get what they can. For that, I always ask for guidance from the Great Spirit, Gitchimanatu. And I'm going to depart now and say something in Ojibwe. Say, Ojo Gitchimanatu, Kanagamanu, Kam Gigeshak, Shomusak, Nakomusak, Minwa, Benojan, Moshe, Avanojan. Bigwich Gitchimanatu, Mashakwan, Negizit, Minagishakat. Thank the Creator for our ancestors, for our children, our families, our grandchildren. Thank the Creator for all the people that we have that work with us to make these things happen in a good way for our people. Creator, thank you for this nice cold weather. I'm going to appreciate it when we get to July and it's hot. And there's most people shivering in the north. So with this, I ask that you remember why you're here, what this agreement was for, and that your hearts and your minds speak with one voice for the people you represent. Miigwech Wawashuna.
Miigwech, Elder Martin. And really, I just would like to say a big miigwech for all your guidance throughout this project. It really was important that we had you with us through this journey and from the very beginning. And I know you spend a lot of time working with students, and so you do know firsthand, the challenges that students are facing and the successes that they're facing as well. So miigwech for that. Joining us today on behalf of the Honourable Minister Romano is David Paccini, MPP Northumberland, Peterborough South, and the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Colleges and Universities. Mr. Paccini, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Denise, for welcoming me, for your land acknowledgement. Warm welcome to all of you. It's great to be with you here today, and especially Jerry, thank you for that blessing. And it's just a real honor to be here on behalf of the Government of Ontario, Minister Romano, and my colleagues, Miigwech. So hello, everyone. As I said, very excited to join you all today. I'd like to first start by congratulating ONCAT for your leadership in coordinating this important milestone. Our government supports post-secondary education in a system that is accessible, respectful, and most importantly, it's inclusive for everyone, inclusive for our Indigenous learners. Today's MOU signing with Canadore, Confederation, and Lakehead will make it easier for Indigenous students to transfer between these northern institutions and continue their education. I can't stress the importance of lifelong learning. In today's ever-changing world, ever-changing economy, education isn't just a small step in the period of our journey or in our duration of time. It's a lifelong endeavor. And lifelong learning should be a learning one takes regardless of the time, regardless of the number of turns it'll take. It should be a path that is seamless. And Ontario's home to world-class institutions, and as Parliamentary Assistant for Colleges and Universities, I've honored to having witnessed that firsthand, but honored to be here with you today to celebrate this incredible milestone with our northern institutions and ONCAT. As I said, as a government, we're committed to working with our post-secondary sector to create the conditions that make it easier for Indigenous students to access high-quality education. Students at Ontario's publicly assisted colleges and universities benefit when their education works for them, when that education is accessible, when it understands our cultural realities, and when it's seamless. And expanding transfer options help students build the skill sets that they need to respond to our ever-changing labor market needs, and it allows them to build the credentials by recognizing their prior learning. I must say, both on behalf of the government, but personally, I really, really welcome this innovative approach that was taken with today's partnership to ensure important cultural supports for Indigenous students and ensuring that the transfer pathways are there to support them. Consultations with our Indigenous students and communities when developing this initiative were critical, from my understanding, to facilitating seamless transfer for Indigenous students between Canadore, Confederation, and Lakehead. And not only does this build on valuable connections between your institutions, it allows greater flexibility and accessibility for Indigenous students to continue their education. Once again, I just want to thank all of you for the work that's gone on. These are unprecedented times we're in. But what's not unprecedented is your commitment to education in the province of Ontario, your commitment to understanding the nuanced realities in Northern Ontario, to supporting Indigenous learners across our great province. And I recognize that the extraordinary time that's gone in to making today a reality, and a warm congratulations to all of you who've made today possible, pivoting, creating new opportunities, demonstrating the best of Ontario's spirit. As always, stay safe. Thank you for having me today. It is an honor. Miigwech.
Miigwech, thank you very much for those kind words. You spoke, I think three of the words that really connected were the accessible, respectful, and inclusive opportunities for students, and that winding, seamless path that we walk on. And those are really, really important pieces to this project, and certainly, to the landscape of post-secondary education across the province. So, miigwech for those words. Thank you. I would now like to invite and introduce Ms. Yvette Monroe, who is the Executive Director of the Ontario Council of Articulation and Transfer. And, without the support of this organization, I know this would have been a very difficult task to undertake. So it is really deeply my pleasure to welcome Ms. Monroe with us here today.
Thank you, Denise. Good morning, everyone. My name, as Denise said, is Yvette Monroe, and I'm the Executive Director of the Ontario Council on Articulation and Transfer, or ONCAT as we call it for short. I'm very pleased to be joining everyone here at this virtual meeting, albeit from Toronto, downtown Toronto. And I think I'm not alone in saying that I do miss actually being able to connect with all of you in person, at your institutions, and more importantly, in your communities. I'm very glad, though, to be here alongside the knowledge keepers and leaders from three wonderful institutions for today's announcements. And thank you, Denise and Jerry, for your opening remarks and blessing, and obviously to David Paccini for joining us for today. Let me offer my sincere thanks to our partner institutions at Lakehead University, Canadore College, and Confederation College. Thank you especially to Parliamentary Assistant and MPP for Northumberland Peterborough South, David Paccini, for joining us and sharing remarks on behalf of the Minister of Colleges and Universities, who I know was interested in attending today, but did have a cabinet conflict. The ongoing vital support that ONCAT receives from the Government of Ontario is appreciated and makes these projects possible. Now a little bit about what we're celebrating today, and it really is a celebration. And I know from connecting with colleagues that the intention was to do this celebration earlier, and then the pandemic, did throw a bit of a roadblock in for us, but we are here nonetheless today. At ONCAT and as a system, we've known for some time that transfer students are not a homogenous group, and that in fact, being a student who aspires to transfer or transfers can often intersect with either being a first generation student, Indigenous student, or mature student, or in some cases, all three. We are very proud that this project and team have reflected upon what transfer means for Indigenous students, recognizing that for Indigenous students, there are administrative and cultural barriers to post-secondary education and also transfer, but also that there are also some very concrete steps that we can take in order to improve the situation, and they've done exactly that. ONCAT is particularly proud of the approach adopted by these three project partners, an approach that mirrors very much the core principles of our own organization, principles of collaboration, equity, stewardship and responsibility, and how we as a sector can find ways to be more student-centered in approaching our transfer work. Those of you who have been at the ONCAT tables, and I can see some of the names and faces online today, and many of you have been at those ONCAT tables long enough, will know that transfer is actually quite technical and often involves many administrative steps involving many different people across an institution. It is also highly dependent upon interinstitutional coordination. This project is truly unique in bringing administrative and technical transfer functions and Indigenous student services together, both at each institution and across institutions. I can't say how much that is important. Rather than working in separate departments and expecting Indigenous transfer students to seek supports from multiple locations and offices, going here and then going there, we are building a more holistic, integrated, and inclusive approach. When institutions work together to think about wraparound supports like we've seen in this project, we help to break through the boundaries created between sending and receiving institutions. This provides a circle of care and support around students, allowing them to transfer more seamlessly and prepare them for success. We aren't just simply sending students alone along a pathway, but creating pathways that build in supports for success and help students throughout their transfer journey. This innovative approach to collaboration means better communication smoother and more efficiently as well. While this project represents an important milestone for the northern institutions involved, It will also prove to be a very invaluable framework for supporting Indigenous transfer students throughout the entire province. We can learn a lot from looking at our partners to the north. We know that these 3 institutions are moving into phase 2 of their project, with plans to bring other post-secondary institutions into the process. We look forward to staying connected so that our system benefits. Thank you, Canadore College, Confederation College, and Lakehead University for guiding us on this journey. Although they may not all be present today, they community members who shared their stories and insights and helped us to get where we are today. A final thank you to our Indigenous colleagues from across Ontario institutions who serve on ONCAT's RFP review panels. Their support for this work, but also their knowledge, has helped us think through our work and build better funding mechanisms to support transfer students. Congratulations, thank you, miigwech, to all those involved with this project, and we look forward to good things emerging as we move on to phase 2.
Miigwech, thank you very much for sharing with us this morning and for joining us as well. I would like to now introduce Mr. George Burton, I think it would be Doctor, who is the President and CEO of Canadore College. And he is representing, of course, his institution. And I just want to, before you start, say it was wonderful to meet your staff and many of your students when they had a chance to visit both campuses, Thunder Bay and Orillia. So welcome, Mr. Burton.
Good morning, and thank you for that warm introduction. Greetings from Canadore College, from our North Bay campus, which is situated on the traditional territory of Nipissing First Nation. And it is really a wonderful time to be joining everyone in the celebration of the work that's gone on. And first, I'd like to acknowledge our institutional partners in this venture, the work of ONCAT, and the support received from our ministry, and I'm so happy that MPP Paccini could join us today. I'd also like to thank Elder Jerry Martin for opening with a blessing this morning. Thank you so much, miigwech. And I must say that Canadore College recognizes Indigenous education as a priority and works to build relationships with educational partners. We are accountable to our Indigenous communities we serve in support of self-determination through education and training. Canadore has developed several ongoing Indigenous-centered holistic services and learning programs for student success. And today it is all about students. Programs developed through Canadore's First People Center provide culturally based supports to students and families. Highlighting just 2 of many, the Indigenous STEAM program combines instruction, science, technology, education, arts, and math with modern technologies, Indigenous cultural practices and values. As well, the village located at Canadore was designed with culturally appropriate spaces and bridges Indigenous, Eastern, and Western health and wellness practices. Indigenous students that come to Canadore are very diverse and come from unique circumstances and communities. They choose Canadore because the programs we offer appeal to their interests, goals, and reflect Canadore's commitment to quality, culturally safe learning environments. Our unique approach are built on Indigenous values and principles of family, community, and healthy relationships. This memorandum of understanding we are signing will make post-secondary education more accessible to Indigenous learners, and it sets our pathway leading to positive change. I'd further like to acknowledge the work again of everyone involved, especially Canadore's First People Center, our enrollment management team, and the ongoing work of ONCAT with our staff. It's only through partnerships that we'll succeed in developing pathways that take learners from where they are to where they want to go. Together, we'll all be stronger. Thank you, miigwech.
Very important words, and I, really resonated with the quality, culturally safe learning environment. Having had an opportunity to visit your campus, it's located in a beautiful space surrounded by forest, and it really is you do get a feeling when you walk through the doors of your institution. So, miigwech, and thank you so much for all the work that your whole team has done with Lakehead and Confederation on this work. We now have the pleasure of hearing from President Kathleen Lynch of Confederation College. Welcome.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Elder Martin, Minister Paccini, Yvette Monroe. I haven't met you before, so really pleased to meet you. It's great to be here this morning. Confederation College has a long-standing commitment to access and success for students and Indigenous learning. Offering educational pathways and wraparound support services for students are cornerstones of this work. Guided by our Nagonawan vision and the leadership of our Nagonawan Council, a group of Indigenous educators and community members who guide us in our work and who created this vision, we are proud to offer a range of Indigenous-specific programs, services, and cultural supports for our Indigenous learners. We continue to integrate Indigenous learning outcomes across all our programs to ensure every student gains an understanding of and appreciation for Indigenous ways of knowing. With courage, equity, and relationships as our Confederation College values, collaboration is paramount to us in all we do. We are pleased to partner with fellow post-secondary institutions who share our vision of excellence in education and support student success. Through our formalized relationship with Canadore College and Lakehead University on this project, we look forward to reducing barriers and increasing supports for Indigenous transfer students. We are grateful this vision is also shared and supported by ONCAT and the Ministry of Colleges and Universities. Working together, we seek to offer a more personal touch as well as a seamless and smooth transfer process to support Indigenous students moving in and out of our respective post-secondary institutions. I want to acknowledge our registrar, Dawn Duclos, and the members of the team from Lakehead University and Canadore College who worked together to create this model. Today's event signifies a milestone in our collective work, but also represents just the beginning of what we can accomplish together to support students. We are excited for this next phase of our partnership in which we will transform the Indigenous student transfer experience. Thank you to all of our partners for your commitment to this important project. Miigwech.
Miigwech, President Lynch. You spoke of the Nagonawan vision and the council, and really the work of that council, the research that has happened through the Nagonawan Research Center was really work that informed the whole beginning of this project. So, it's really incredible to me that we have such strengths in our regions and, amazing people who are doing that work. So I just want to acknowledge that as well, and the work that we do together. It is now my pleasure to introduce President McPherson, who is the President and Vice Chancellor of Lakehead University. President McPherson.
Thank you very much, Denise. Good morning and bonjour. And first, let me say thank you, Elder Jerry, for beginning today's event in a good way with your words and with your blessing. And thank you also, Dave, for your time with us today and for the ministry's continued support of initiatives such as this partnership that foster more post-secondary opportunities for Indigenous learners. On behalf of Lakehead University, thank you also to my colleagues at Confederation College, at Canadore College, and to ONCAT, and of course, my colleagues here at Lakehead for making today's announcement possible. Lakehead has a proud history of encouraging Indigenous perspectives, cultures, and histories into our curriculum, and recognizing the wisdom that elders and Indigenous community partners bring to inform decision-making programs and supports. Our Office of Indigenous Initiative plays a significant role in supporting Indigenous students, faculty, and staff. Denise and her team are responsible for so many endeavors at Lakehead, including our Najee mentorship program, an outreach program that has inspired over 4,500 students and involves faculty members from across every one of our faculties. Lakehead is also proud to have Dr. Cynthia Wesley Esquimaux as our Chair on Truth and Reconciliation. Her work with First Nations communities across Canada and around the world offer us guidance on how Lakehead can do more to help support Indigenous learners and communities. We are eager to push over the finish line our Gitchikandasowin project, a center to be built on our Thunder Bay campus that will serve all of Northern Ontario, and the creation of a culture of understanding across communities that will support a more equitable and inclusive future for Indigenous people. The Gitchikandaswin has been developed with Indigenous leaders and partners and will have a significant impact on economic and social recovery in Northern Ontario post-COVID. Today, Lakehead University, Confederation College, and Canadore College have pledged to collaborate in planning for, developing, and establishing a seamless transfer path to support Indigenous transfer students every step of the way and at each of our schools. Together, we will explore inter and intra-institutional wraparound academic and cultural supports, including procedures that remove barriers to transfer. This MOU further demonstrates our continued and collective commitment to encouraging and facilitating post-secondary education opportunities for Indigenous learners. And finally, I want to personally acknowledge and thank Lakehead's Office of Indigenous Initiatives that played a huge part in organizing today's event and creating the beautiful and meaningful quilts as gifts for the MOU's signatories. And you can see those quilts that have been incorporated into our virtual backgrounds behind us. So again, thank you, ONCAT. Thank you, everybody who's participating today for bringing this event to a reality. And miigwech.
Miigwech, thank you very much, President McPherson. And you know, at the early days when we met as a group, we had the opportunity to also have Dr. Lana Ray come and do a presentation. She had worked on a previous ONCAT project with actually Canadore College, and that work was really important as it informed the path that we started on when we did this work. We also built upon some of the previous ONCAT projects that were led by Andrew Hepner and Dr. Nancy Lukai. And so you know, it's really meaningful to me that we have organizations across this province that really are thinking on a broad scope about serving the needs of Indigenous learners, ensuring that, you know, in the province of Ontario, we have education that supports accessible, respectful, and inclusive learning for all learners, and particularly for Indigenous learners. Focusing on that building of those seamless pathways for Indigenous students, continually building the skill sets to respond to the ever-changing needs of our economy, our environment, and you know, the humanity within our province. The support of ONCAT as we have built these transfer pathways, not, you know, just in this project, but through many other avenues as well. And really, these are pathways that are meeting the needs of very diverse Indigenous learners across this province with a very holistic approach. And building these transfer pathways through this MOU to make sure that those wraparound supports are there for students so that they're in a culturally safe space. They're getting to meet the incredible staff that we have at each of our institutions. And as they flow between institutions on their journeys, this is really, really important work. And I know all of us are continually seeking ways to serve our students and our communities. And we are really proud to be capacity builders within each of our respective regions. So I would really like to just acknowledge too that we had an opportunity to hear from staff and students at Canadore College, Confederation College, Lakehead University, Mattawa Post-Secondary Education, Northern Anishinaabe Education Council, and Seventh Generations Education Institute, as well as Elder Jerry Martin through this process. These were really, really important voices, and as pointed out, none of this work would have happened without each of those people generously giving of their time and their knowledge and their experiences and expertise as we worked through this process. We would also like to thank Wolf Tracks. They're a local design company in Thunder Bay. We had a meeting with them and explained the work that we were doing, and they actually designed this quilt for each of the institutions as a legacy gift to really recognize and you know, honor the importance of that blanketing ceremony and those wraparound supports that we all are working to make sure happens for each and every student. So I would also like to extend thanks of gratitude to the Wolf Tracks designers. So to close the event today, it's my pleasure to invite Elder Jerry Martin to return and to join us for our final words of the event. Elder Martin.
Thank you, Denise. And all of our honored guests and visitors. I'm glad you acknowledged Nagano, because I remember that way back from the beginning of the college vision. The uncertainty of what lay ahead of us. But the courage and determination of community leaders and workers has made this possible. Services, and programs, and supports in all three institutions and in the community. This does not happen in a void with nobody doing anything. This is because of your work, your support, and your commitment to this idea. That's why I said grateful for the hope, promise that things will get better, and they are. So keep up the good work, people. And I ask the Creator to bless you and keep you well as you walk through your path in life, and that we will meet again. Alma P.
Very good, Elder Martin. And I know our work is just beginning, so we really do appreciate your commitment to us as we continue this work together. I would like to now invite, this is the formal conclusion of our event, but I would like to invite the presidents, MPP David Paccini and Yvette Monroe, to just stay on for a group photo. Toby's going to take a group photo of the group, but it was on behalf just of our team, I really would like to thank you for joining us today